Hello everyone and welcome to the October free class. So I just want to talk to you a little bit to begin with about how you can qualify for a free class. So that is the class that gets sent to you and we do it on a Thursday night together over Facebook Live. So to qualify for example, the November free class, if you place an order with me during October of $50 or more, you instantly qualify for the class. You don't have to do anything special. It's just a free class with purchase. So for the free class, you'll receive 2 kits early in November with a list of products that you need. Please don't worry if you don't have the products, choose something from your collection. There is no requirement to buy any special products to complete the free classes. You'll need your basic tools, adhesives, sentiment stamp or stamp sets, and an ink pad. So if you don't have the same colour as I'm using, you can choose something else. Okay, so that is how you qualify for a free class. Hi Mandy, thank you for joining me. So the papers we are using on both cards, as you know, I love designer series paper and I think this paper needs to be used. So on page 41 of the annual catalogue is a suite that's called Wildly Flowering, and this is a designer series paper that coordinates with this suite. So the colours in here are mostly in colours. Okay, so we've got, let me just check so I don't have to rely on my memory. So there is Wild Wheat, which is this sort of this yellowy browny colour, Mossy Meadow, which is a green, Misty Moonlight, which is a blue, Moody Mauve, Early Espresso and Crumb Cake. So some of those are in colours, but they are really pretty colours that work beautifully together. So as I mentioned, page 41 is where you'll find the paper. Let me show you these papers. Now with this suite, the only product I've actually purchased are the papers. That's it. I haven't got any of the rest of the suite. It's just I love the papers. So let me go through and show you these patterns. And it does it has a little bit of a similar look to some paper that we had last year. So this is really nice to have these papers. And of course, with these flowers, they are big enough that you could fussy cut them out if you wanted to. So this is the Wild Wheat that I was talking about. It does work really nicely with these colours. There's some of the greens, there's some white and some pink in there just to offset some of that. I guess it's a sort of a coppery brown sort of colour. Okay, again, some more patterns that you can cut out. Really beautiful for background. I've only got not quite a full sheet of this paper because this is one of the papers that we've used on the kit. Okay, so this is one side. Let me flip it over and show you the reverse side. So as always with the papers, if there is a busy pattern on one side, there is a not so busy pattern on the reverse side. So this has got sort of, let me hold it up a little bit so hopefully you can see it. It has almost a linen texture look to it. So these are nice, versatile patterns that aren't too busy. That one's probably one of the a little bit more busy, but it's still got a place. And these are nice and versatile, and there is a blue. Again, that does have a linen sort of look to it. Hi Gay, thank you for joining us. Okay, so that is the paper which is called Wildly Flowering. Okay, let me pop that aside. Let's get started. So this is the first card that we're going to make. Okay, so we have got a couple of different pieces of the designer series paper. You'll have a die cut frame, some ribbon, and also some really nice gems that have a beautiful sparkle to them. The inside is finished off with just a piece of white paper or cardstock. So this card is one, another demonstrator. She's from the US that I follow, and she goes by, or her business name is Stamp It Up with Jamie. So she does really beautiful cards, and they have a beautiful simplicity to them, which I think is why I like them so much, because mine tend to be a little bit more on the simple side, but I think that works really nicely. Hi Amanda, thank you for joining me. So let's get started with this one. So of course you'll have your envelope. You'll have 2 pieces of ribbon. The short one is to go across the card front. You'll have a longer piece to tie the bow. You've got your little banner, your little bits of bling with the little glue dots behind it. Plus I have got a couple of different pieces of designer series paper. With your white, you've got a larger piece for the inside, which measures 10 centimeters by 14.4, and the small piece is for the outside, and this one measures 9 centimeters by 13.4. Okay, so it is just a little bit smaller. That is the one that we're going to be sticking the designer series paper on. And for the base, piece of crumb cake, just half a sheet of A4. So for those who have got your kits with you, if you fall behind a little bit, please do not stress. As always, I'm going to be posting the replay straight away so you can go back and watch anything that you may have missed. Okay, so folding cut in half. My small piece is what I'm starting with, and I am going to be using some of the Stamp and Seal. And of course, because I always remind everybody, remember the little tick to break the stream of the adhesive, and use a light hand. Okay, so I am going to start by sitting my 2 pieces of designer series paper onto my smaller piece of white. So when you sit these on, you only have a small white edge. So if you've got a really wide edge around, swap your pieces. You've grabbed the big one. Okay, so let's get started and stick these down. So I am just going to be using Stamp and Seal, which is sort of, I guess, one of my favorite adhesives to use. So just a very light hand, and remember that little tick. Okay, and the first piece is going to go on. You just want to check the top and the sides just to make sure that the edge is nice and even. And go ahead and put the second piece down the bottom. Now, of course, with this, if you want to use Tombow or a different type of double-sided tape, use whatever adhesive that you have on your table. Now, I do have just a small little gap there, which I'm not worried about because that's going to be covered by the ribbon. Okay, that is the first bit. I am going to be sticking my short piece of ribbon down, and to do that, the least messy way is to use one of the really nice thin double-sided tapes. So this tape isn't a Stampin' Up! One. You can get it at places like Spotlight and some of those sort of discount type stores. So I don't ever use a lot of this, but this is just the absolute perfect size to stick your ribbon down. So I've got my strip which covers over of the double-sided tape over the join. And then you can stick your ribbon on. Now, you don't have to stick your ribbon down with tape if you don't want to. I find it just holds it a little bit better in place. And I'm going to flip it over and stick the ends of the ribbon in place with a little bit of sticky tape. And of course, you could use a glue dot or double-sided tape. Sticky tape is just easy. Okay, so that is the main focal piece of this card done. I'm going to stick this on the front using some dimensionals. Let me see what I've got here. Okay, so I've got some minis. And of course, with your dimensionals, I do highly recommend using a piercing tool. I just happen to really love the versatility in all of the different jobs that you can do with the Take Your Pick tool. So for those that don't have a Take Your Pick tool, I do highly recommend getting one. So for the basic tool, you do get what I've got here. So you get the putty end, you get the end that has the piercing tool and also the little palette knife, I guess you could call that, or a little spatula. You also get with this an extra attachment which has a stylus. So I don't have that attachment here, but your stylus looks like this. It has that little ball at the end, and it does have on the attachment for this, the large and the small end. So this basically is two tools that's turned into one. Okay, I just love this tool, so I'm always going to tell you all the good things about it. To get the backs of the dimensionals off, the little papers, just stick into them or stab into them with the take your pick tool, so the piecing tool end, and they just flip right off. Okay. So let's get this stuck down. I am going to try and get it stuck down straight because I'm not sure how straight my eye is today. I have days like that when nothing goes on straight. I think I'm pretty happy with that. Okay, so that is the first section or the first part done. I'm going to be stamping sentiment onto one of the banners. This is from the Stylish Shapes die set. And I'm using, as I usually do, the Simply Said stamp set. I love this one, and it's one that I do use a lot, and I'm sure anyone who watches my Facebook Lives or videos, particularly when it comes to the free classes, I do use this stamp set a lot. I love this one. It's a $30 price point, so it's a really friendly price point. It's photopolymer, so it's easy to line up, and it covers your basics. So you've got your birthday, you've got your thank you, the thinking of you, miss you, just a note. Let's celebrate. So really very versatile. I am going to be making this one into a thank you because I send a lot of thank you cards out. So let me grab that one out and put it onto a block. Okay. And the color ink I'm using for both cards is Moody Mauve. So this is one of the in colors, and of course it does coordinate with the card stock. So as you can see there, it's really beautiful coordination with the colors. I'm going to just get a scrap of paper because I want to stamp this first because I can't remember how juicy my ink pad is. Because you don't want to have an overly juicy ink pad. I think that's fine. Okay. Now, as I mentioned, being photopolymer, this is actually really quite easy to line up and get straight. Having said that, gosh, I hope I can stamp it straight. That's not too bad. I'm happy with that. I've done a lot worse. Okay, so let's get this onto the card front, and I am going to be using dimensionals. Now, with this one, I have got my banner slightly off to one side. It's almost level with the edge of the card. I'm using dimensionals, but I'm not going to put any dimensionals at this end. They're going to go on the main section, and that can just kind of sit up and hang free. All right, so again, I am using the minis. Okay, and I'm going to stop there. So this end bit here doesn't have anything on it. The reason for that is I don't want this to stick to my card base. I want it to still stay up with the dimensionals. I don't know if I'd explain that terribly well. But yeah, without the adhesive there, it's not going, as I mentioned, it's not going to stick to the card base. Which in the big scheme of things probably doesn't matter, but I can't help but be a little bit particular. So this is going to go maybe a centimetre or so up from the ribbon. And I have lined it up almost level with the edge of the card. Just checking to make sure I actually stuck the card on the right, or the front on the right way. Second piece of ribbon, I'm tying a bow, and it's just an ordinary bow, nothing special. If you do struggle with your bows and you've got a bow maker, I do recommend grabbing that out. Okay, so I'm just going to just play with the ribbon just a little bit, or your bow, to get it nice and even. And grab some scissors. And I'm going to trim off those tails just a little bit. And trimming off the little tails as well if any of the ribbon has frayed. This one's a really good one for not fraying, but you can then trim off any fray. Okay, I'm going to stick that onto my card front using a glue dot. And I'm going to grab my Take Your Pick tool. So I pop my glue dot on top of the first piece of ribbon. Hopefully get it up without it sticking to my fingers too much. Pop the ribbon on. If you've tied a larger bow, use 2 glue dots if you need to, just to secure that nicely. We're almost done with this one. So it is a nice quick card, and again, this is something you can reproduce using different designer series papers. So I do have my iridescent faceted gems, I think is what they're called. I didn't pay enough attention or think about actually checking the name of it before I got on live, but I'm pretty sure that's what they are, iridescent faceted gems. And I'm going to pop the 3 in a line across the bottom of the card. And I am, of course, using that putty tip on the Take Your Pick tool, because that takes all of the hard work out of picking up and holding on to them without them flicking. Before we got this tool, I always used tweezers or one of the other pick tools, but I found they had a tendency, these little gems, to flick, and you never ever found them again. So the Take Your Pick tool is really awesome to get better control over your embellishments. Okay, I need to finish off the inside, which is really simple. I just need to stick my piece of white cardstock in, and again, this measures 10 centimeters by 14.4. And just remember that little tick for the Stamp and Seal. And this goes in, and then, as I mentioned, this is card number 1 finished. So if you're playing along, or you've got your kits in front of you, as I mentioned, don't worry if you fall behind. You'll be able to come back and watch the replay and hit pause when you need to. There is card number 1. Okay, so just depending on which piece of the card you got will determine how different that top bit looks. Okay, number 1 is done. Let's move on to number 2. As I mentioned, we're using the same designer series paper for this second one as well. A little bit different. We've got a little bit darker colours happening. So I have used Early Espresso. I've also got some Moody Mauve, which does match the ink that we're using. I've got my strip of designer series paper. I've got some of the iridescent faceted gems, and we've also added in some linen thread, which goes really, really nicely with the crumb cake, which is the lighter brown in the paper. It's a very, very natural looking fibre or thread. And the inside we're finishing off, we've also got a layer of Early Espresso in there as well. This die is from the Nested Essentials, I think they're called. I can't remember the exact name of that one either. I'm not very prepared tonight with remembering these names. Normally I have them all written down so that I can reel them off, but had a busy day and didn't quite think ahead of time early enough to do that. But I will share a link to the products, all the products that I've used, in the comments in a little while. Okay, let's get started with this one. Oops, as I flick it away. So of course you'll have your envelope, so you don't need that straight away. You'll pop that aside. You'll have the die cut. Also have some of the iridescent faceted gems, same as the ones we used on the first project. You'll have 2 pieces of linen thread. The longest one is to tie the bow, and the shorter one goes the length of the card. You have got a piece of designer series paper which measures 4.5 by 14.4. You'll have a piece of white that measures 5 by 14.4. A piece of Moody Mauve, and this one measures about 6 by 9. Plus we've got for the inside piece of white which measures 9.5 by 13.9, piece of, or 2 pieces of early espresso, which are the same size. They measure 10 centimeters by 14.4. I tend to use with my mats and things like that all the same size. It's just easy, and it's just I don't have to think about too much what size I'm doing. It's just habit. Okay, so they are the sizes that I do all the time, and those measurements should sound quite familiar. And you also get a second piece of early espresso for the front. Okay, so let's get started. For the base, it is a piece of the thick white cardstock, which I have scored and cut in half. So we'll fold this one in half to begin with. And the reason I do score the thick white is it just helps with any cracking along that fold line that you might get. Okay, I don't need that straight away, so I'm going to pop that aside. So the first thing I'm going to be doing is my piece of Moody Mauve. I am going to stick, and I want to get that as close to center as possible. So as in center from the outside in and from the top and the bottom in, because these other 2 pieces here are going to be centered over the top. Okay, so all of these layers that I've got here, they're all going to go down just with Stamp and Seal. If you would like to use Tombow, just so you've got a few moments to wiggle your pieces around if you need to. Okay, so when you're lining this piece up, do take your time just to try and get it as close to center as you possibly can. If it's a little off, people aren't going to notice. I think around about there is pretty good. I think that's all right. Okay, so that is the first piece down. As mentioned, don't quite get it perfect. Don't worry, it's a handmade card. Okay, my next piece is my piece of white, which is 5 centimeters by 14.4. That is going to stick over the top. It may be a touch longer, so you may need to trim it up after it's stuck on. Yeah, Bianca, this paper pack is really beautiful. Let me show you. I'm not sure if you were here early on, but it's called Wildly Flowering Designer Series paper, and it's on page 41 of the annual catalogue. So I haven't had this paper all that long, but as soon as I got it, I actually started using it because it is really pretty paper to use. Okay, back to our card. So I do have my Stamp and Seal, which I'm going to use on this, of course. And this is going to be centered and level with the edge. Let me see how I go with this. I think that's okay there. Let's go with that. And you may not be able to see it, but I do. Oh, yes, you can. You might be able to. I have got that little tiny bit there that I need to trim off. And I may have stuck mine on a touch crooked, but I reckon we're going to live with it. It'll be fine. And my piece of the Designer Series paper, which measures 14.4 by 4.5. Okay. So I'm going to stick this piece on as well with Stamp and Seal. And I hope you can see that there, but you don't need to use a lot of this adhesive. It actually sticks really quite well just using small amounts. And we go that way. And that's going to go over the top there. And again, you may have just a little bit to trim up at the bottom. So for those with your kits, as I mentioned, I do hope you're keeping up. All right, so next is using your linen thread. So you need to find your linen thread that is the shortest piece first. And there's not all that much difference. I mean, we're talking maybe 8 or 9 centimeters difference in length. So getting the shortest one, this is going to be folded in half. And I'm going to be sticking this down the right hand side of the designer series paper. And I'm going to just tuck it behind and stick it in place with some tape. Now this is going to hold down quite nicely because we do have a couple of elements to put over the top. Okay, making sure that's kind of sort of straight and stick it in place. Now the reason I use shorter pieces of the linen thread and also baker's twine and I fold it in half, it's just that you save a whole lot of your product. So it just stretches a little bit further. Okay, so there is that bit done. I think I'm going to go ahead and stick this onto the card front, and I am going to be using dimensionals, which are just here. Okay. So here's a question for you. For those who are watching who are local to me, we had a really beautiful day today. It was lovely and warm. It was a little bit of almost a taste of summer. If you're not in regional Victoria, so the Latrobe Valley, Gippsland area, well, first of all, where are you watching from and how was the weather for you today? Because we had an absolutely beautiful day here. It was really lovely getting doors and windows open and airing the house out because it gets quite stuffy when it's closed up with heating going all the time. Okay, so this, as mentioned, dimensionals onto the card front. Again, hopefully kind of sort of straight. And kind of sort of straight is about the best I can do some days. Okay, that's not too bad. Next I'm going to do my stamp, which this one let me just show you the card there. I'm using the Happy Birthday, which is out of the Simply Said stamp set, which is my favourite stamp set. So I'm really, really happy that Stampin' Up! Have given us such a fabulous stamp set to use for pretty much all occasions. Okay, so I'm using the Happy Birthday. I'll grab a block. I do find if it's a slightly longer sentiment to use one of the slightly longer blocks. So this is a H block and it's really perfect size for some of these sentiments. Again, the ink I'm using is Moody Mauve. I was in Shepparton on the weekend, so Amanda, so it was nice and warm on Sunday, but just a bit on the windy side. But yeah, I think you guys have got quite some quite warm weather this week. So yeah, but we did enjoy the Shepparton weather. Okay, so this is going to be centered. Gosh, I hope I stamped this one straight as well. There we go. I'm happy with that. Okay, let's get this card finished up. It's not too much to go. I'm going to be sticking my sentiment onto the card front, which is going to be roughly centered around about there, which gives me plenty of room to do my bow, and this is going on with dimensionals as well. Okay, so just a couple more. This one is, I think it was called Nested Essentials. Let me just take a quick look and I'll see where I can find that one. Yes, Nested Essentials is on page 103 of the annual catalogue. I'm not sure if they've got all of... No, they don't. If you search online for Nested Essentials, it'll come up. So you have this diamond shape. There is rounded rectangles, also banners as well, which has all the sort of the stitched detail on the edge. So that is where that one is from. Okay, so flicking the backs off, because I do normally have the different sets of dies that I use. I normally have them with me to share with you, but dropped the ball. I'm actually struggling this week after being away for the weekend and not getting home until Monday. It's actually really thrown me. Just being out of routine, not going to work my usual days and things like that. It's just, yeah, it doesn't feel like Thursday. It only feels like Tuesday today. All right, so, oh, sorry. For those who are making the card along with me, your second piece of linen thread, do fold it in half. And if it's a little bit curly between your index finger and your thumbnail, just run that through. Same with your baker's twine, and it straightens it out. Okay, so folding that in half and then tying your bow, which gives you a nice full bow with, oh, I've lost track of where my ends are. Let me try again. Gives you just a nicer, fuller bow than just with the single layer. Okay, I think that's a bit better. There we go. And trimming up the ends just a little bit. There we go, just need to do that. And then this is going onto my card front with a glue dot. Okay, so that is going to sit over, or my glue dot's going to sit over the top of that first piece of linen thread that we've put down, and then you simply place your bow over the top of that. Okay, so to finish the front off, we've got one more bit to do, which is just stick. My gems are actually, oh, one stuck to me. I think I'll just go ahead and stick this one straight on before I actually lose it. So that one's going to go around about there. I think I must have a bit of sticky stuff on my mat. It's not picking up very well. And grab the last two to put down the bottom. So there is the finished card front. So I've got the two little gems down the bottom and one just up the top there. Mandy, linen thread only comes in one colour, which is called linen thread. The colour you see, which is that very natural, almost crumb cake colour, is the only colour that it comes in the annual catalogue. So I think in the mini catalogue we do have some linen thread that is green, copper clay, and I think it's garden green, copper clay, and maybe Night of Navy. I can't remember off the top of my head, but the linen thread just in the annual catalogue just comes in this natural colour. Okay, to finish off the inside, it's very simple. You're just going to be matting your two, or sticking your two pieces together and then into the inside. So again, the measurement for the white, 9.5 by 13.9, and my piece of early espresso is 10 centimeters by 14.4. Okay, a little bit more stamp and seal and into the inside of the card, and it's done. That's card number 2. Again, this is a design that you can choose any different papers that you like, and just choose your coordinating cardstocks to go with it. It's a really nice, quite simple design to reproduce. Yeah, go to greetings, Mandy. So I'm just going back and reading some of the other comments that I've missed. I think, yeah, if you find a greeting stamp set that you really love, you stick to it. I think there are some that are really versatile because they do cover most things, or sometimes it's actually using a sentiment stamp set out of something that has other images in it too. Okay, so there we go. 2 cards. Let me just move some of this stuff out the way. The 2 cards for this month's free class with purchase. Okay, before everyone disappears, I do have just a couple of really quick reminders. For this month, there's 2 promotions going. Stampin' Up is offering up to 30% off the kits collections. Okay, so some of them may only have a 10% discount, some 30%. These kits can all be viewed online. I did share that beautiful kit on Tuesday, so I hope you really enjoyed seeing that one because it's really, really pretty cards to make. So that is until the 31st of October. There is a starter kit special for $169. That's the cost to join Stampin' Up. You get $286 worth of products. So that's $51 more than usual. So awesome, awesome value. I do have Christmas Stamper Stack classes coming up. I do have a 3-card class on Friday the 25th of October at 7:30, and I've got the full Stamper Stack class, which is 6 cards, on Saturday the 26th at 1:30. Registration for this class does close on the 20th. You've still got a few more days to register for that. And finally, monthly card class. This is one class that comes to you. The projects are going to be a little bit more involved than what I've shared with you tonight, but it's going to work in the same way. You'll get everything you need to complete the cards. You will, however, have to have a sentiment stamp set and your ink pads. You can use the same as what I've used, or use what you've got at home. So this is, as I mentioned, a class that comes to you. It will have written instructions along with a YouTube video doing step-by-step for you as well. What you will need to supply: your basic tools, your adhesives, ink pad, and a stamp set. So there are lots of different options and things that you can make your cards into. You don't have to do exactly what I've had. And most of all, which is really important, you don't have to purchase any special products to complete your classes. So the registration for this month, for October, does close on the 20th. The kits will be in the mail to you by the end of October. And then we'll start over again doing different cards for November. So they're the reminders that I have for you for tonight. There are the cards. Now, one thing I did forget to do, which I'm going to do right now, let me just pop these ones aside. Last week's Facebook Live, so not Tuesday last week ago, I shared how to make some of the Christmas cards using the ephemera packs. Okay, so I forgot to draw some winners because I was going to give away 2 of the cards that I made. So these are the 2 giveaway cards. So, and I do have anyone who left me a comment on a little raffle ticket in a cup. It's very unsophisticated the way I do this, but this is so easy for me just to have little tickets with everyone's name on it who left me a comment. You're all in the draw to win one of these cards. I'm going to draw out 2 names in just a moment. I'm just quickly reading through. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Gay. I'm glad you like these cards. Thank you, Bianca. Excellent, Mandy. Okay, so if I've missed any comments, I do apologise. I will respond to those in a little bit. So let's draw out 2 winners, and these cards will be in the mail to you. And if I don't have your email address, if you're one of the winners, please message me with your postal address. Please don't click on any links, because I'll never ever ask any winner to click on a link to receive a gift or a prize. Okay, so card number 1 is for Simone. Well done, Simone, and thank you for watching last week. And card number 2, Gay. And I think Gay's watching, so congratulations, Gay. That's going to be in the mail to you within the next couple of days. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching. I really hope that you have enjoyed. Oops, I'm just going to pop these giveaway cards away. I hope you've enjoyed watching this class, and when the time comes, if you actually have these kits in your hot little hands, I hope you really enjoy making them. So thanks again, everyone, for watching. I am going to be back next Tuesday with something more to share with you. I don't know whether it will be mini catalogue stuff or whether it might be another kit. I'll have a look and see what I've got there. So thank you, Gay. Thank you, Mandy, Bianca, Amanda, and I can't see anyone else's name on my phone, but thank you so much if you're watching. I appreciate you taking the time, and I will be back next week to share something more with you. Thanks, everyone. Bye.